Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video, we're going to be reviewing The Secret History of Sharks, The Rise of the Ocean's Most Fearsome Predators by John Long. I was sent this by Ballantine Books, so thank you so much to them for the review copy, but let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'm really pleased. I'm 3 for 3 now with excellent shark books. I haven't read a shark book that wasn't at least like a 4.5, 5-star read, so that's awesome. This one in particular focuses a lot on the natural history and kind of the archaeological record for sharks, which I didn't really know a whole lot about. Like the fossil record for whales, for example, has been kind of documented and talked about and written about quite a bit. Kind of all the transitional fossils and species and stuff that we have from kind of the land-based ancestor going down through kind of whale evolutionary history. I didn't know anything about shark natural history though, and this was just really cool in the sense of how far distant they are, like kind of on the evolutionary tree and stuff, where just for example most mammals and stuff, like we are more closely related to bony fish than bony fish are to sharks. Like, it's just so bizarre, just kind of thinking about that stuff. But anyways, this book is broken up into 5 kind of different major units with a couple different chapters under each one. And it's kind of a different, like, kind of large chunk of time history. The last one being sort of the present day and kind of like the current species of sharks. And then the first unit being kind of the kind of archaic proto era where you can't really always define, like, you know, what's the difference between the sharks and some of these other species kind of like going on. But then you kind of go through the different time periods as well. Now the book is just totally chock full of different like photographs, illustrations, diagrams, different things like that, like archaeological sites, fossils, like anatomy and bone structure, like kind of different species kind of descriptions of what they might have looked like and stuff based on like the fossil records and stuff. And I'd say it's almost at least every other page or so you have at least something, so it just definitely kind of keeps you engaged. And not too many of these kind of books like have quite that many just like filled throughout. Like a lot of times there's just kind of like the plates in the middle of the book. So I definitely appreciate it when he's talking about, like, you know, different fossil teeth and stuff, and kind of there are kind of like minute differences, because it's kind of neat learning how a lot of species can be identified just based on their tooth or their different kinds of teeth and stuff. But showing a lot of the different, I guess, differences with the teeth in the photographs and everything definitely helped quite a bit. And it was kind of cool just seeing a lot of the in situ fossils that John Long talks about as well. Just really appreciate that too. But yeah, like I said, I'm just a sucker for these kind of like secret histories or hidden life of books. And this is definitely just one of the top tier ones that I've read. It is a little bit thicker than a lot of the other ones. I think it's around 450 pages of text or so. So I think about 400 of the book itself, and like another 50 pages of notes and everything like that. But still super highly readable. Like I said, there is definitely a focus kind of more like on the archaeology and that sort of thing. But you definitely get a lot of vignettes of other things. Just some of the takeaways. I've just found like shark scientists just really enjoy each other's company, and for like kind of a niche little taxonomic group, so many of sharks are named after each other. Different scientists naming them after like their colleagues and friends and everything like that. I just found that just really neat. You always kind of hear about it like here and there and stuff, but I think there was like literally like 8, 9, 10, something like that just mentioned that I can like think of when I was like starting to vaguely kind of keep track of it as I was reading and stuff. But some other like kind of vignettes, just for example, like shark teeth necklaces. You know, I had some when I was a kid growing up in Florida and everything. Just kind of how using some fossilized teeth actually has probably helped save some sharks from being overfished and hunted and stuff, because they were kind of almost kind of for the fin trade now. They were only catching them basically for their like jaws and teeth and stuff, to sell the teeth and jaws and everything to like museums or jewelers and everything. But there's a bunch of fossil sites where they can just like uncover just treasure troves of teeth and kind of do necklaces that way. So I thought that was really interesting as well. But yeah, there's a lot of I wouldn't say, maybe not adventures, probably not the right word, but the archaeological sites are all over the place. The first one that you hear about is him and the author and some of his archaeological friends dealing with archaeology, you know, digging and stuff in Antarctica and kind of the perils that is associated with that. So I found that really fascinating as well. The only thing I would say, like, if I had to have any kind of like little critique of, I guess, of the book or something, is maybe having a little bit more of a focus on kind of like the contemporary era of sharks. But the work is actually done pretty well in the sense when like different senses are talked about, or different variations like hammerheads and kind of like the reasoning behind that and stuff. It's kind of talked about in the era that it first developed. So it doesn't necessarily like as much stuff for like kind of the contemporary era, if that makes sense. So really it's just me being like lazy and having to like think about all the stuff I've learned like previous in the earlier chapters and everything like that. But yeah, overall just really enjoyed this book for sure. And at the end too, there is a lot of talk about kind of the conservation and kind of all the different perils and threats that sharks are facing, whether that's climate change, pollution, overfishing. They have a whole slew of them. And a big thrust of the book is sort of dealing with how sharks as a group have historically been able to weather every single mass extinction that they've encountered fairly well, at least compared to pretty much a lot of the other kind of taxonomic groups on the planet at different points in time. But how they're not doing so well with like all the human pressure, because it's kind of like a different ball game and stuff like that. But I highly recommend it if you like Shark Week. If you like learning about megalodons, you'll learn all about the real truth and history of megalodons. It's just fascinating kind of reading about why megalodons were getting so big and whales were getting so big at the same time, and how they're kind of related. And it wasn't even like that far back in the evolutionary past, so just kind of crazy to think about. But like I said, if you like sharks, you like Shark Week, anything like that, definitely pick up this book. I think you will as well. Just highly readable. You'll learn tons, lots of great illustrations and photographs, and tons of archaeology and facts and everything you probably want to know about the natural history of sharks. So thank you so much again to Ballantine Books for sending me this, and I hope you enjoy it as well if you pick it up. If there's been any other books that I've mentioned, whether in book hauls or TBRs or wrap-ups or anything like that, that you'd like me to see, or that you'd like me to talk about more, like kind of an individual book review way, leave a comment down below as well, and I will be sure to try to get right on that. So thank you so much for watching, and whether you're reading books about sharks or not, always remember, read victoriously.